this session on Lalita Sahasranamam. Narada Sharadamboja Vadanam Vadanam Bhuje Sarvada Sarvada Smakam Sannidhim Sannidhim Kriyat Shruti Smriti Purananam Alayam Karunalayam Namami Bhagavat Pada Shankaram Loka Shankaram Shankaracharyam Keshavam Badarayanam Sutrabhashyakrutau Vande Bhagavantau Punah Punah Ishvaro Gururatmeti Murtibheda Vibhagine Vyomavat Vyapta Dehaya Dakshinamurtaye Namaha. So, what is this Lalita Sahasranamam that we are going to study in the coming sessions? This is a part of the conversation between Rishi Agastya and Bhagavan Hayagriva and comes in the Brahmanda Purana, which is the 18th Purana written by Bhagavan Vyasaji. It consists of 320 shlokas in all and is divided into three parts. The first part is called Purva Charitra, and this consists of 51 shlokas. The second one is the one which consists of the 1000 names of Lalita Devi, and these are 182 and a half shlokas. And the third one is called the Phalasruti, consists of 86 and a half shlokas. We know that Sri Chakra and Sri Vidya are highlighted in this. However, we must also remember that everything is ultimately leading us to the Vedanta, Ekameva Advitiyam. So, ultimately, Lalita Parmeshwari is none other than Brahman itself. Here, we will be highlighting more the Vedantic aspects, and although this is very much full of Tantra and Sri Chakra Yantra is discussed, I am not competent because I am not a Sri Vidya Upasaka, so I will not be stressing them, giving more general meaning of those names. However, we may have a session with Dr. Chandrasekhar for more detailed discussions on those aspects. Now, this text has 12 chapters. Each chapter is called Kala, and it is said that there are 12 Kalas of Surya, the 12 months, 12 Adityas are there, and therefore the 1000 names are divided into 10 Kalas. For each Kala will consist of 100 names. That 1000, there are 10 into 10,000. And the first, the Purva Charitra and the Phalasruti, both are also part of the Kala, that is why there are 12 Kalas. In the first, the Purva Charitra, briefly, we will try to see how this Lalita Sahasranamam unfolds. You see, as I had earlier said, this is a conversation between Bhagavan Hayagriva and Agastya Rishi. It is said that Lalita Parameshwari herself ordered her 8 Vashinyadi Vagdevata to create these 1000 names. So they were the first to utter it. That is why when we say Mantra Drishta, when we are talking of person who has, the Rishi who has written it, we mention the 8 Vashinyadi Vagadevata. Now that's just, you see, this is one thing very interesting about any Purana. From one story you will be led to another story. So let us understand who is Hayagriva and who is Agastya. Hayagriva is an avatara of Vishnu himself. Story goes like this, that after having fought the war with the Asuras, Bhagavan Vishnu was very tired and he slept off on his bow, on the Dhanush. And the whole world, everything was kind of a standstill. So all the Devatas were very much scared what has happened. If Vishnu Bhagavan is not able to get up from this slumber, what will happen to the world? They all go to Brahmaji. He says, do one thing, you you send this termite, it will cut that bow string so that when the bow breaks, the dhanush breaks, the sound will wake up Bhagavan. And it was done accordingly. But lo and behold, what happened? Instead of just Vishnu Bhagavan getting up, when this bow broke, it cut his neck off and, he was beheaded. So when the Devatas came to see he was beheaded, they were all the more perplexed and they started praying to Bhagavati Devi. The Devi appears and she said, yes, this was deliberately done. There is a purpose behind it. In this world, nothing is accidental. Devi does everything very much according to some plan. So, said the plan is, you see, because there is a Daitya called, Asura called Hayagriva, and he has taken a boon that he can be only killed by somebody who's got a horse's face. Now, it is only Bhagavan Vishnu who can kill him. So, what you should do is place a horse's face on top of this head, on his body here, and that will be, Vishnu will again wake up and he will be the one instrumental to kill Hayagriva. So they were accordingly, and when his head of a horse was put on this body, it was this Vishnu such called. So when the horse's head was put on his body, on Vishnu, he came to be called Hayagriva. Haya means in Sanskritam horse. So with the horse head, he was called Hayagriva, and Vishnu Avatara himself, and finally he kills this Daitya named Hayagriva. Is Agastya. Agastya Maharshi is the husband of another very great Vidushika, Lopamudra. She is a mantra drishta, because some mantras and suktas coming from with her name. Now Agastya Maharshi got his name, Aga, the name of mountain, instrumental in making the Vindhyachala mountain immovable. And that Agastya means that. So Agastya is the name of Agastya Maharshi because he got this name because he stopped the Vindhyachala mountain from moving, made it Achala. Now, Agastya Maharshi approached Hayagriva Bhagavan, and this in the Purva Charitra, he said, Bhagavan, so kind, you have told me about the birth of Lalita Parameshwari. You have told me about her coronation. You have told me about her birth, told me about her coronation. You have also told me how she killed Bhandasura, and that you have told me about Sri Chakra representing the whole universe, the Tripura, the residence of Lalita Devi. You have told me about Sri Vidya, the 15-lettered Panchadashakshari mantra, which has two categories, the Kadi Vidya and the Hadi Vidya. You have told me various forms of worshipping Lalita Devi, which is a Kevala Manasika Upasana, only mentally contemplating her. Yaga, that is praying to her using the Sri Chakra. You have also told me how to do japa of Lalita, what is called Purascharan. So, he said that not only that, you have told me this Purascharan means 24 lakh times doing the japa. Then you have told me Nyasa, that is placing the deity and the functionaries in different parts of the body. All this you have told me. Agastya Maharshi tells Hayagriva Bhagavan, and then says, but Bhagavan, why you didn't tell me these 1,000 names of Lalita Devi? You told me all these things about Lalita Devi, her birth, her coronation, how she killed Bhandasura. You told me Sri Chakra, you told me about Sri Vidya, you told me about the forms of worship, you have told me about Japa, Nyasa. But you have not told me these 1,000 names of Lalita Devi. Is it because you forgot it? Surely you are an Vishnu Avatara. You cannot forget. Was it because of indifference? But Bhagavan, indifference is shown to a servant or to an enemy. I am not in any of those categories. Or then, is it because I am unworthy of hearing it? I don't have the adhikara. Is it that? Then Bhagavan says, no, it's none of these. It is because this is a secret, this is a rahasya mantra. And only it should be told to those who have Shraddha. And since now you have asked me, and you have asked me with Shraddha, so I will tell you these 1,000 names of Lalita Devi, the Lalita Sahasranama. That's how in the Purva Charitra this is explained. Then let us get an idea of how Lalita Devi was born, how she came to this Brahmanda. You see, when Manmatha or Kamadeva, the god of love, was burned to ashes by Shiva, opening his third eye, the ashes were collected by Chitrakarman, one of Shiva's attendants, and he used it for drawing the figure of a man. Shiva glanced at the figure and at once it leaped into life and became a living person. Chitrakarman asked him to pray to Shiva and repeat the Shatarudriya. The person did so, and Shiva was pleased and blessed him with the overlordship of the world for 60,000 years. On hearing this, Brahmaji cried in dismay and said, Banda, Banda. You see, that's how he came to be known as Banda. Actually, the meaning of the word Banda is someone who is shameless. Actually, he is representing Ahankara. Here we must understand why this Devi and Asura are talked of. Asuras are there inside us and also outside. You know, in the Bhagavad Gita, in the 16th chapter, both the Daivika and the Asuric Sampat are discussed. What is within us Asuric and what is within us Daivika? You see, that fearlessness, Sattvam, Dhanam, Dhamma, Yajna, Swadhyaya, all these things that we do are Daivik Sampat. You know, Ahimsa, Teja, Kshama, all these are Daivik qualities. But what are the Asuric qualities? Damba, Ahankara, Asatyam, Ashuchitvam, that is one who is not pure, who are very haughty, who are only talking about their glories and always looking down upon others, who are cruel. All these are Asuric tendencies. We know there are people like this outside us also who are Asuric. Within us also these Asuras are there. So always the Devi is to fight out these Asuras who are within us and also outside. Now here Bhanda is actually, as by his name tells, is shameless and arrogant. Because he got the position, he established his capital in Shonitapura and he started oppressing the gods and made life intolerable for them. Therefore, Narada Maharshi advised Indra to do tapas and seek the help of Parashakti. All the Devatas and Indra together did tapasya and became more, when their tapasya became more and more intense, they started offering their own body, the flesh of their body in the Agni Kunda. That means they were so sincerely praying to Parashakti. Then what happened? From the midst of the Agni, a shining chakra came up, on which was seated Devi herself. They prayed to Devi to save them from Bhandasura. And Devi agreed that she herself would kill Bhandasura and help them. She was accompanied actually by so many of these Sampatkari, Aparajita, Mantrini, Dandini, Dandanatha, Krodhamukhi, Chanda, Danda, Bhairava, Dandanatha, and so many others. Many yoginis are there, Shaktis of Devi. Now, the Devatas wanted Bhagavati to get married before she gets on to do her duty. And Devi agrees, provided she says, I have always been independent, and whoever marries me should not take away my independence from me. It was none other than Shiva. She put a garland in the air and it fell on the neck of Kameshwara. That's how it is described. So she got married to, so Lalita Parameshwari got married to Kameshwara. After the wedding, the different gods, all the devatas, gifted to Devi many things, which we will be seeing in the description of Lalita Devi in the Lalita Sahasranama. For example, Brahmaji gave her Ikshukodanda, that is a dhanush or bow made out of sugarcane. And it was going to be fresh always, that was the boon. Hari, Bhagavan Vishnu gave her Pushpa Bana, the 5 banas that she has, which are the Panchatan Matras, later we will see. Varuna Bhagavan gave her the Naga Pasha. Pasha means a rope. Vishwakarma gave her Ankusha. And Agni Devata gave her the crown, the Mukuta. Chandra and Surya together gave her 2 earrings. Ratnakara gave her mala, or garland made of various gems and jewels. Indra gave her Madhupatra. Kubera gave her Chintamani mala. Vishnu Bhagavan gave her Chhatra, umbrella. Ganga and Yamuna gave her the chavar. We do arati, the chavar we use. And all the other devatas, Ashtavasu, Rudra, Aditya, Ashwini Kumara, Maruta, Gandharva, and each one gave her different types of chariot, horses, elephants, camels. Some gave her their weapons. Like that, in the marriage, she was gifted with all these things by the various devatas. So that is how Lalita Parameshwari was prepared by them for doing this, for killing Bandasura. Now, how do we worship or start doing the Lalita Sahasranama? You see, whenever we do any, first of all, we should get a Upadesha from a Guru. Although, even without getting Upadesha, we can chant the names, but the Balam will be more forceful when we get an Upadesha from a Guru. Normally, there is Anganyasa done. Nyasa means, touching different parts of the body, remembering, for example, first the Rishi who the Mantra Drishta from whom this has come, we pray to them and keep our hand on the head. And here it is the 8 Vashinyadi Vagdevatas. They are the Devata. Then the Chandas, because it is speech, the meter has to do with the speech. So in the tongue, one invokes the presence of the Chandas. And the Devata here, Lalita Parameshwari, who is our goddess, Ishta Devata, we install her in the heart. This is called Nyasa. After doing all this, one starts the of the first, the Dhyana Shloka. Now, what is the Dhyana Shloka for the Lalita Sahasranama? We all normally do it. So, let's try to understand the meaning. You see, why are we understanding the meaning of the stotra? Because in Yaska Nirupta it is said, without understanding the meaning when we do any puja or chanting, what happens is, you see, it is like a donkey carrying diamond. Doesn't know what it is carrying. So that is why it is always advisable for us to learn the meaning and then do the particular chanting or puja. So here we will start with the Dhyana Shloka and see the meaning of the Dhyana Shloka. We all normally do this, and this is the Dhyana Shloka particularly for Lalita Sahasranama, which Saubhagya Bhaskaram, that is the Bhashya written by Bhaskaraya, there it is mentioned to be the Dhyana Shloka particularly. We will be following this Bhaskaraya's Bhashya in most of our understanding of the names of the in the Lalita Sahasranama. This is the very famous Bhashya for Lalita Sahasranama. So we will first, one should pray to Lalita Devi with the Dhyana Sloka. What is it? Sindhuraruna Vigraham Vinayanam Manikya Maulisfurat Taranayaka Shekaram Smitamukhim Apina Vakshoruham Panibhyam Alipurna Rakta Chashakam Raktotpalam Vipratim Saumyam Ratnagadasta Rakta Charanam Dhyayet Param Ambikam. So, what is the meaning of this? Sindhura Runa Vigraham. Sindhura is the crimson color, the sindhura that women have on their sindhura on their forehead. This is that color. He is of that color. And later also we will be seeing in the Sahasranama the meaning of this crimson color. And she has three eyes, Trinayanam. You know, the third eye is the Jnana Drishti. From there she gets that is representing Jnana. Just as this also shows that she and Shiva are not different. Shiva is Parabrahman and Shakti cannot be different. The Shakti of Shiva cannot be different from the Shaktiman. Therefore, she is Parabrahman, she is Shiva herself. But when we are getting the manifestation of this whole Srishti, at that time she takes a form and she gives forms to everything in this world. So her complexion is crimson and she has three eyes. She is Jnana Swarupini. And her crown, the mukuta, is full of jewels, ratnas, and Chandra is there seated on it, bright. You know, Ashtami Chandra, that is, at that time, the Chandra is neither becoming more or less, you know, otherwise the phases. So it is at that point, that is why Ashtami Chandra is so important. And the bright glow of Chandra is there. Then she is wearing a very soft smile, and her broad chest, and in two hands, what is she holding? In one, she has got the red lotus, and in the other hand, she has got a tumbler or a patram with all jewels studded on it, and which is full of amrita. And the beetles are surrounding it, humming, you know, they are wanting to taste that amrita. So her form is very, very attractive. She is beautiful and charming. And her feet, they're red in color. You know, the alta, what we call the red paint that normally women put on their feet. So her feet are red in color, and she has kept her feet on a small stool which is full of jewels again, and that is where her feet are to be found. So we have to do dhyana. When we do dhyana, this dhyana shloka, we should try to bring the picture of Devi as described in the dhyana shloka into our mind, so that we get tuned to thinking of her. So, Sindhuraruna Vigraham Trinayanam Manikya Maulisfurat Tara Nayaka Shekaram Smitamukhim Apina Vakshoruham Panibhyam Alipurna Ratna Chashakam Raktotpalam Vipratim Saumyam Ratna Gadasta Rakta Charanam Dhyayet Param Ambikam. So, doing dhyana on the Devi, we are supposed to start the chanting of the Lalita Sahasranama. That is, for any shlokas, we are supposed to do first dhyana and then we have to start chanting. Now, it is very interesting that when we have any actually Lalita Sahasranama is also, each name is a mantra also. When you say Om Srimatre Namaha, Om Srimadagya Namaha, it becomes a mantra. So, this everything has to be started with Om. So, we must first understand the importance of Om. And very clearly, it has been told in Bhagavad Gita in the 17th chapter, 23rd shloka. Om Tatsaditi Nirdesho Brahmanastrividha Smrita Brahmanastena Vedascha Yajnascha Vihita Pura Tasmad Om Ityudakritya Yajnadana Tapakriya. So we are told that doing any yajna, dana or tapa, we must always start with Om Tat Sat. So why is it important to say Om? What does this Om stand for? We have also to start chanting Lalita Sahasranama from Om Sri Mata. Any mantra, any shloka, we should start with chanting of Om. Somebody has raised a question. Is Lalita Tripura Sundari and Devi Parvati same? Yes. However, Shiva is taking the form of Kameshwara and Lalita Devi, Parvati is taking the shape of Lalita Tripura Sundari, because Shiva and Parvati, other story is there, how Parvati is the daughter of Himavan and all that. Here Lalita Parameshwari, we will see we just now saw how she was born. She came out of this Agni, and we will be hearing this more when we just now read the names of Lalitas. So, what is this Om? What does it stand for? What is the importance of it? Actually, we understand that the firstborn Prajapati performed tapas to understand the quintessence of the words, all the lokas. What is the quintessence of that? He understood them after the tapas as the three Vyakritis, that is sacred words, Bhu, Bhuva, Suva. But again he did further tapas to know the essence of these three Vyakritis. He understood it to be Omkara. This is what is told in Chandogya Upanishad. In fact, in every Upanishad, we have got some description or explanation of Om. And the whole of Mandukya Upanishad is an exposition of this Om. Because this Om is the name of Paramatman himself. And if we chant it, he will be pleased. And this is also the symbol of Brahman. One can meditate on Brahman as Om. Greatness of Omkara Upasana is explained in the Mandukya Upanishad. I shall come to that. So, this Om in the Mandukya Upanishad, before that, let me give you the story, in Bradhanik Upanishad as well as in Chandogya Upanishad about this Udgita. Udgita is chanting of Om in a particular way, and Devatas were being troubled by Asuras. So they decided to chant or Omkara, all this is Udgita. What happened? They first tried to do Udgita, taking it as the nose. So what did the Asuras do? They brought bad smells, etc. into the nose. So then they shifted. They said, okay, let's concentrate, focus on the ear as Gita and do it. So what happened? All bad things they started hearing. The Asuras came and invaded the ears. So then what did they do? They said, okay, let us do it in the eyes. Again they made it foul by eyes started seeing all bad things. So therefore Devata said, okay, let us do Udgita, the Mukhya Prana is the Udgita. The Asuras could do nothing. In fact, the Asuras were killed like as though, the mud, the stones, break, the rocks break, like that they were destroyed. So the importance of Mukhya Prana, the main vital energy, is explained in this kind of a story. So, in Mandukya Upanishad, this Om consists of 3 syllables, A, U, Ma. And A, U, Ma, and beyond that is without the sound also. That is, The A is representing Vaishvanara, U is representing Taijasa, and Ma is representing Prajna. Vaishvanara is the god of everything in wakeful state, Jagrata Avastha. Taijasa is the person ruling the Swapna world, that is dream state. And Prajna is the state when we are in deep sleep. And in fact, Prajna is our real self. It is Brahman itself, but because the Jivatma, when it has avidya, doesn't understand, therefore it continues to be a Jivatma. But beyond these three states is what is called Turiya. So all these go and dissolve in Turiya. So actually this Vaishvanara, Taijasa and Prajna are at the cosmic level, at the Samashti level. In the individual level, that is, in Vyashti level, in each individual, there is wakeful state and we are Bahishpragya. That is, the individual is trying to learn things from outside, Bahishpragya, because eyes are looking out, ears are hearing from outside, like that. So, he is Bahishpragya. He is called Bahishpragya when he is in wakeful state, the individual. The individual is called Antapragya when he is in dream state. At that state, what happens? One is not having connection with the gross body, but one is having connection with the mind, buddhi, etc., which are part of the subtle body. So, in the deep sleep, what happens? The relationship with the gross body and the subtle body is snapped, and the person is in Prajna, in the Samashti level, and also is called to be in Prajna at the Vyashti level. Actually, he is in his Swarupa, but if he has Ajnana, he doesn't know he is in Swarupa, but actually he is one with Brahman at that time, because the deep sleep experience of everyone is the same. If I have to know what did you dream, I have to ask you. If I have to, similarly in Jagrat, if you are itching or pain, I have to ask you. But if somebody said, I slept well, everyone knows that experience is the same, whether it is the experience of sleep of a mosquito, whether it is the experience of the sleep of lion, everyone's sleep experience is same. So at that time, one is all in one's real self, which is Brahman, and that is one for all. So this Om represents, as according to Mandukya Upanishad, the three syllables are Uma, represent the wakeful, the dream state, and the deep sleep state, respectively, and the state beyond is called Turiya. That is Brahman itself. So this is one major explanation of Om, and Omkara Upasana is also told in Mandukya Upanishad. That is, different people can do meditation on Om, focusing on the different syllables. Sorry. If one focuses on the first syllable A and does meditation, it is said that if his meditation is successful, the result that he will get out of it is all his desires will be fulfilled. Similarly, if one meditates on the second matra, that is U, A, U, Ma, no? So if one meditates on U, he will be getting all the knowledge, jnana sampatti. And no one will hate him, neither his enemies nor his friends, everyone will like him. So this is the result of doing upasana on the second letter U of Om. And the one who does upasana on Ma, they are able to, for them the world is no more there. They are able to get dissolved in Brahman. And amatra, for them, there is no, that is Auma, when we say Aum, and then there is silence, there is no sound, that is Turiya, one is getting jnana, that is realization. So there are so many things discussed about Om. I am only mentioning a few. For example, the three letters symbolize all the triads. Everything in this universe is having triads, three. And Devi is there in all of them. We will understand why. Now, for example, there are three Vedas. For example, Atharva Veda is not normally taken into account with this. Rig Veda, Sama Veda, and Yajur Veda. Three Vedas are there. Three Gunas are there. Sattva, Rajas, Tamas. Similarly, Trimurti, Brahma, Vishnu, Shiva, that which also represents Srishti, Sthiti, Laya. Similarly, there are three Dhama, Sthula Sharira, Sukshma Sharira, and Karana Sharira. What is this Karana? What is the Sthula Sharira? The gross body consisting of the 9 doors, Navadvare, 2 eyes, 2 nose, like that, and which has got 7 dhatu, sapta dhatu. It has Shad Vikara. It is born, it is growing, it changes, it decays, and then it dies. So this is called Shad Vikara of the Sthula Sharira. Sukshma Sharira consists of 19 senses, 5 Jnanendriyas, 5 Karmendriyas, 5 Prana, Pancha Prana. Jnanendriyas are the 5 sensory organs. Karmendriyas are the 5 motor organs, that is speech, that is Vak, Pani, Padam, Payu, Upastha, speech, hands, speech, and the 2 excretory organs. These are the motor organs. And the sensory organs are the eyes for sight, ear. These are called Shrotra Indriya, Netra Indriya, Grana Indriya, like that, 5 Tvak Indriya, and the taste. So, these are the 5 Jnanendriya. So, 10, 15, 5 prana, this is Pana, Abana, Samana, Vyana, Udana, which have different functions in the body. And the 4 Antakarana, Mana, Buddhi, Chitta, Ahankar. So in all, 19 elements are there in this Sukshma Sharira. When we say somebody is dead, that means the Jivatma leaves the Sthula Sharira, the gross body, carries with it the Sukshma Sharira, these 19 elements, and leaves the Sthula Sharira. So what is the Karana Sharira? It is called Avidya, so long as one doesn't know that I am Brahman and identifies oneself with the body, either the Sukshma Sharira or the Sthula Sharira, till such time one is called to have Avidya or Ajnana. And this becomes the reason for their taking another birth, another body. So that is called Karana Sharira, the causal body. So these are three Dhamma. Then we have already talked about Jagrat, Swapna, Sushupti. Similarly, there are 3 types of things in the body according to Ayurveda: Vada, Pitta, and Kapha. So Vata, Pitta, Kapha. There are 3 Kala, time: past, present, and future. Bhuta, Vartamana, Bhavishya. In Sanskrit language, there are 3 Vachana. That is singular, plural, and 2 also. Dvivachana also we have got in Sanskrit. Then Linga, gender: Stri, Purusha, Naputsangalinga. Then you have first person, second person, third person. So all these, everything in this universe consists of these triads. And who is in these triads everywhere? It is Lalita Parameshwari herself. So Lalita is herself this Pranava. And this Pranava, the 3 letters symbolize all these 3, all the triads here. So everything is, Lalita Parameshwari is pervading everything in this universe. The whole universe has come from her. We will be studying about that also presently. So therefore, this Om, the importance of Om. So we should start chanting Lalita Sahasranam by chanting Om. It is very, very sacred. And it is the name of Lalita Parameshwari and Shiva also, or it is the name of Parabrahman itself. And when you chant that name, they will definitely appear before you. This is our faith. So, this is to do with Om. Next name that we have is Sri Mata. Now, this is also a very, very important name. What does this word Sri signify? Shri has many meanings, But mainly, it is, some people say it is Amrita, and it is representing the Vedas or the jnana of Veda. Well, even Sri means poison, vish, because the when the Samudra Manthanan was done, first came vish, poison. Who swallowed it? Who took it? It was Shiva. But because of Devis in Saundarya Lahari, it comes because of the importance of her earrings. The poison just was there at the level of neck of Shiva, and he became Neelakantha, that is all, but nothing happened to him. So that way also Sri is being described, and anything great, anything Mahan is always referred to as Sri. For example, Sri Chakra, Sri Vidya, Sri Rama, Sri Krishna, etc. So this word Sri is very, very sacred word that we use for great things. What is the meaning of Mata? You know, mother is full of compassion. Every child, everyone remembers the mother when they are in sorrow or in difficulty. Even when they are having pain, they say Amma, like that. So this mother, for sukha or dukkha, one remembers this mother. Not only that, she is the Janani. She has given birth. So here Sri Mata, the whole universe has come out of her. Now this we should understand, and in Vedanta this is explained very well. I will share a chart with you, and we will try to understand why she is Mata, how the whole universe has come from her. I'll just come to the chart. See, this chart is, I hope, visible to all. How does the Srishti Kriya, how does Srishti take place? You know, during the dissolution or Pralaya, only Parabrahman is left. Everything else has gone and joined Parabrahman in seed form. Everything is there in seed form in Prakriti, Maya. That is what I am talking of as Devi. So Prakriti, Maya, all these are synonyms, and we will see what is the meaning of that. So Parabrahman and Maya or Devi are one. However, when the universe is manifesting itself, at that time Devi is giving forms to everything, and she is there in everything. She is Trigunatmika, that is Sattva, Raja, Tama Guna, all the three gunas. With that, she is there in everything. So first, when from Parabrahman, undifferentiated universe comes. So it is called Avyakrita. What comes out, you know, just as even in a fetus in the womb is in an undifferentiated form, first Pinda. That Avyakrita divides into two, Avyakta and Prana. Avyakta is referring to the unmanifested forms of matter, and Prana is referring to the unmanifested forces. So all activities come from Prana, all activities come, inert bodies come from Avyakta. Now, when Parabrahman along with Prana is called Paraprakriti, and from Avyakta, 8 things come out, all together of them, they are called Aparaprakriti. So Parabrahman taken along with, or Parabrahman plus Paraprakriti and Aparaprakriti is called Ishvara. Just as before a child is born, a woman who is pregnant, we say she is pregnant. But the moment a baby is born, we call her mother. In the same way, when Para and Apara Prakriti have become manifest outside Brahman, such a Brahman along with Para and Apara Prakriti is called Ishvara. Let us understand the meaning of the word Ishvara, because Ishwari is also there for Devi. That is one who controls. Ishi Trishi Vyavahara. One is controlling the whole universe. Maya Adhyakshena Suyate Prakati Characharam. Ishvara, who is Ishvara? under whom this whole universe is under whose control. Now, so let us understand what is apara prakriti. Apara means inferior, para means superior. We will see why it is called like that. So let me again repeat. For Parabrahman, Avyakrita, the undifferentiated universe comes up, which divides into two, prana and avyakta. And prana is what is called going to lead to all the activities. It is consisting of all unmanifested forces. Avyakta consists of all unmanifested forms of matter. From this, 8 things come out and they are all together called apara prakriti. First, avyakta, from that mahat comes. From mahat comes ahankara. From ahankara come 5 tanmatras. Tanmatras are, for akasha, the tanmatra is sound, shabda. The tanmatra of vayu, that is air, is touch, shabda sparsha. And what is the tanmatra of agni? Rupa tanmatra. And the tanmatra of water, jala, is taste, that is rasa. Similarly, the tanmatra of bhumi, prithvi, is gandha, smell. So, shabda, sparsha, rupa, rasa, gandha are the tanmatras of the 5 elements, that is not, which have not become gross. These are all very, very subtle. From mahat comes the samashti buddhi, that is the cosmic intellect. From ahankara comes the samashti manas, that is the cosmic mind. And when this avyakta is mixed with the avidya, it becomes samashti ahankara. These, the moment samashti buddhi and samashti manas are born, Hiranyagarbha or Brahmaji is born. Who is Hiranyagarbha or Brahmaji? The creator. The person who has done immense tapas and who is very, very pure in the previous kalpa gets this adhikara as a person to do srishti. And in the previous birth, he knows all the code language for doing the srishti. So now what does it show? Para and apara prakriti is what we call maya or prakriti. And this is what I will say is Devi. Though she is not different from Parabrahman, but as Shakti Swarupini coming out in the form of kinetic energy, she is expressing herself as apara and para prakriti. This whole universe consists of para and apara prakriti. And you see, even Brahmaji is under her, is come after her, from her. So she is the Janani of even Hiranyagarbha or Brahmaji, that is Chaturmukha Brahmaji. So even if Chaturmukha Brahmaji, who has created us, is coming out of her, she is the Mata. That is why she is Sri Mata. And now from this, we will see how, I told you, Shabda consists of the guna of Akasha, Sparsha consists of guna of Vayu, Rupa consists of guna of Agni, Rasa is the guna of Jala, Gandha is the guna of Prithvi. So they are considered as the subtle body of Hiranyagarbha or Brahmaji. And Samashti Manas, Samashti Buddhi, Samashti Ahankara are the mind of Brahmaji, Buddhi, mind Ahankara, and Para Prakriti is Prana, from which all these activities will take place. Now, what Brahmaji does or Hiranyagarbha does, he mixes all the 5 tanmatras and creates the Mahabhutas. Panchikrita Akasha, which is only Shabda Guna. Then the Panchikrita Vayu, by mixing with Shabda, it has both Shabda and Sparsha. Then Panchikrita Agni, which is mixed with Rupa. So the Agni has got, Panchikrita Agni has got Shabda, Sparsha, Rupa. Similarly, Panchikrita Jala has got Shabda, Sparsha, Rupa, Rasa. And the Panchikrita Prithvi has got all the 5 elements. So, from the subtle Akasha to the grossest level of the Prithvi Tanmat, Prithvi Panchabhuta, here now, this is also very subtle. It has to become further gross by another process called Trivritkarana. So, in the previous thing you saw, the Devatas Shariras are made. Who are the Devatas? Agni, Akasha, Jala, they are all Devatas. Who is a Devata? Now, Agni, Jala, Prithvi, these are all inert. The one who gives them the ability to act or move is called the Devata. So, Prithvi Devata, Jala Devata, Agni Devata, Vayu Devata, Akasha Devata. So, the first bodies that are created by Prajapati in every Manvantara is through Trivrit Karana. He mixes these Pancha Mahabhutas and creates the body of first the Devatas, Agni, Vayu, etc. In the second Trivrit Karana, he creates the Panchabhuta, the plants and trees. And the third Trivrit Karana, he creates the bodies of animals who have got prana, manas and buddhi. And then the human being who's also got speech or vak. Now, all these, whether it is Prajapati or it is Hiranyagarbha, they are all born from Para and Apara Prakriti. That is, from when the Samashti Manas and Buddhi comes, Hiranyagarbha is born. Later Prajapati comes. I am not going into the detail of how Prajapati comes because I'll have to explain what is Manvantara, etc. If you are interested, later we can do it. So what is, when we say Sri Mata, this apara and in the form of apara and para prakriti, Mata, she is giving birth to everybody in this universe. Whatever it is, whether it is Devatas, whether it is Hiranyagarbha, whether it is Prajapati, whether it is plants, whether it is animals, whether it is human being, she is the one who is giving birth to everyone. That is why she is Sri Mata. Om Sri Matre Namaha. So, she is the mother of this universe. So, therefore, any questions you have, you can ask me because time is running short. Now, today we will be concluding here, but we can take 5 minutes for any questions or clarification, or if you are having any problem in understanding what has been described so far, you are most welcome to ask questions. So, we have understood two names so far, that is Om and Sri Mata. We will be taking up now, we can even now discuss this Sri Maharagni.
Maharji, there is a question.
Yes,
All mentioned, is this all mentioned in Vedant Prabodh?
yes, it is mentioned in Vedanta. Vedant Prabodh by Swami Paramananda Bharati ji, it is mentioned because there are some people who are not familiar with Swamiji, therefore I am mentioning. Any other question? So she is the Maharagni. Ragni means Rani. One, the queen who is managing all this. She is the one who has created. So naturally it is her responsibility also to sustain. So she is the Maharagni. And she is the Srimad Simhasaneshwari. We will do these names next time also a little more. But broadly, once we understand this Srishti Kriya, we have no difficulty in understanding that she is the Sri Mata of this whole universe. And she is the Shakti Swarupini, she is Trigunatmika. So in everything that she has created, there will be these three gunas. So there will be Sattva, Rajas and Tamas in different proportions in different bodies. And how these have all come in each body in different ways according to their prarabdha karma, according to what they have done in their previous births. That Lalita Parameshwari knows everything. She is Sarvajna. So she knows in each body which body will have more sattva, which body will have more rajas according to the karma they have done in the previous birth. So this is the role of Prakriti. In the form of Prakriti, Sri Mata, she is the mother of this whole universe. I think today we will be stopping here and we shall continue a little more about Sri Maharagni and Srimad Simhasaneshwari in the next class, which will be next Tuesday at the same time. If you have any question, you can ask. Otherwise, we will conclude here with the prayer. Shruti Smriti Purananam Alayam Karunalayam Namami Bhagavat Pada Shankaram Loka Shankaram Shankaram Shankaracharyam Keshavam Badarayanam Sutra Bhashya Kritau Vande Bhagavantau Punah Punah Ishvaro Gururatmeti Murti Bheda Vibhagine Vyomavad Vyapta Dehaya Dakshinamurtaye Namaha Namah Parvati Pataye Har Har Mahadev
Dev.
Jai Jai Shri Shankara Bhagwan Ki Jai
Jai.
Ma Jai Ma Jai